Because you've always taken such charge.
You are listening
to the Border Chronicle.
Welcome to the Border Chronicle podcast. I am Todd Miller, your host for today, and one of the co-founders of the Border Chronicle, along with Melissa Del Bosque. Please check us out at theborderchronicle.com. Please check us out and subscribe at theborderchronicle.com. We need all the support we can get, and we are producing tons of content, a couple pieces every week, both audio and text. I do want to draw your attention to a digital mapping project that we just launched called Wall Watch. It just launched this week. And what we are doing is looking at all the border wall construction and that previously existed and is going on right now along the 2,000-mile U.S Mexico border, as well as the surveillance infrastructure and checkpoints and all that comes along with building a border, what the Border Patrol calls a border, quote unquote, border wall system, or actually what they're calling now a quote unquote smart wall. And so go check it out at theborderchronicle.com. That's one of the many things that we are producing and putting out now. And it's extremely relevant to our conversation today because not only is there a lot of infrastructure happening, there's very much live resistance to that infrastructure. And you can look almost anywhere across the U.S. Mexico border, in the U.S. Mexico borderlands, whether it be Big Bend, where there's the threat of construction projects going on at this moment and resistance there, or Quito Vaquito Springs, a sacred site for the O'odham people in southern Arizona, or the Tohono O'odham Nation in general, where this past weekend people put up, or the Tohono O'odham Nation themselves put up no trespassing signs for contractors. So contractors are not allowed to trespass on the Tohono O'odham Nation, or, as we will be talking about today, the San Rafael Valley. And with that in mind, I'm very pleased to have Kate Scott with me today of the Madrean Archipelago Wildlife Center, who has been part of the very active resistance in the San Rafael Valley. Welcome, Kate, to the Border Chronicle podcast. So glad to have you with us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, and I was thinking long and hard of how to start this podcast, but I should tell listeners that we've been attempting to do this for a good week. I think it's been, hasn't it? It's been a week, but we haven't been able to connect. And one of the reasons why is Kate is in it. But I was struggling where to start it. Should we start in the overall picture of resistance that's going on, or and now just yesterday we tried to connect twice, and both times in the morning, well, there was CBP coming down with their helicopter, so there was a little bit of emergency situation at the site, and then in the afternoon, Kate tells us, oh my gosh, there's a hailstorm and we lost our signal. So yeah. I'm wondering, Kate, do you think we could start I'm thinking, can we just start right now? Like in this moment, what's going on? Can you describe what's happening? I think most people know, or maybe they don't, that there's a tree sit happening in a 200 plus year grandmother cottonwood tree that's happening right on the border. But could you, if somebody were to go down there right now at this moment, what would they see? And what's the kind of atmosphere that we're seeing there? And how many days has it been that this has been going on?
Well, we're in day 13 of the tree sit. I've been out here with a few other people since June 23rd or 22nd. So it's like my 8th week of being here, and as a rolling presence with other people. Okay, hang on, that's my... just let me... No, I'm in an interview right now, so I won't be able to join you. Thank you.
get a firsthand glimpse of your everyday and this resistance, right?
Right. So, day 13, eighth week. We've halted border construction since that June 23rd date. They've done workarounds, removing the Normandy barrier. So if you were to drive into Lochiel, La Noria in Sonora, you would see a beautiful little town with historic homes. You would drive down the Lochiel Road to the very end of Lochiel and the border road, and you would see our Casita de la Esperanza, Port of Hope, that we're renting a former Customs and Border house.
That's interesting.
We are,
Isn't that ironic?
I know. It was a dream I had for about a year. I said, that's where I think we're going to really need to be. And then you would not be able to walk down the border road now. It's being very actively, how should I describe it, Todd? Imagine when you're on I-10 and you are passing a semi and he's carrying aggregate to someplace to be put into cement. Well, we have those type of semi-trucks going at least 50 miles an hour down this little road continually for 12-hour periods, carrying aggregate to the east and west sides of us because we're in the pinch point. They're building the double wall east of us. They're building the wall west of us. They're excavating actively. And I mean, I haven't been able to get over there. So it's like, God knows what. I tell people they probably have Manhattan built over there. You know, it's like, and then they have trucks constantly with the mining size. You know, when you go to a mine site, which you pass a mine site getting here, Sud Bay, South 32, and those trucks are here, those type of size of trucks. So you have these monster mining trucks.
Are the trucks from a private contractor, or that's the private contractor for CBP?
The DHS has contracted, CBP has contracted for them. Fisher Sand and Gravel is their main contractor building the wall in this segment of the border, and they have their subcontractors below them, and we've noted, you know, we're looking at all the different logos and things that go by. So you have at least 6 or 7 different types of subcontractor trucks driving at very high speeds, most of them. A couple of them are, you know, give you a little bit of a break once in a while. You cannot walk on the border road. You can't drive on the border road. It is public land. It's the, you know, Roosevelt Reservation. Teddy Roosevelt set up in 1907. And they have some construction no access signs. And then to the point where you would drive down the road, there's no trespassing signs that have a state statute listed. And they're not an official sign. So there's a illegality associated with that sign. So it's a
was that put up by Customs and Border Protection, or was that put up by the contractors? The sign
It was put up by the contractors, which in that statute that they do cite, it is for a trespassing. It is a trespassing statute, but it says clearly in the first subsection A law enforcement officer puts it up. Not contractors, you know. So there's been that. So you say, okay, and then you walk down a path that we take through the private landowner, and we go out to where we have the grandmother camp under our grandmother Cottonwood. And today we've had 2, what I would say, when the one-armed tree crusher, he's an excavator, digging out something or crushing something with his big jaws. He was working around, coming towards the grandmother, and because they're removing the old border fence. Yeah, they've been removing the border. They've removed the Normandy barrier everywhere in here. They've removed in all of the little pass of Lochiel. And now they're removing that fence that's a mesh type fence from, I guess, the 70s or the 60s. I haven't dated it and really looked into that part of it. So they removed the Normandy barrier. They did that like a couple of weeks ago, and now they're removing the fence. And it's the type of thing that the first time they tried to do it, they utilized saws, and they were sawing it and handing off the pieces of it to people in Mexico. And the ranchers were kind of watching us today. It's a kind of a juxtaposition of beauty and friendliness, and then wah, and then you see our beauty. But you have this zone of hostility and cruelty and just destruction beyond your wildest dreams. Imagination, I should say. We wouldn't want to dream this. And so today we've had 2 times the one-armed tree crusher, who the dump truck follows him, so he puts the stuff in, was very close in removing this fence. So we positioned ourselves in our buffer zone that we've put around the tree, because Custom and Border Protection told us in June 19th, after many letters and calls to them to not go after the 4 grandmothers that were here, the other 3 grandmothers. They said, no, they're in the Roosevelt Reservation. They're scheduled for removal. But the second paragraph says if there's an active nesting behavior happening, we will not touch the trees or word. I mean, I have the actual wordage, but we'll leave them alone. We'll let the nesting season and all that pass. We'll put a buffer zone around them. And then, bye-bye. So I just say, well, yesterday we decided, let's put our buffer zone around. And so we've roped it off, and we've been actively monitoring and being present in that zone, protecting our tree sit person, but protecting what they're doing, because if he doesn't lift it. So we had to go out there twice today in one day. And then while we were out there, the first time the chopper came by with a CBP, and they've been flying at treetop level, so they're right at the canopy of the cottonwood.
They're dropping.
And then,
they're dropping right down. So wait, could you just describe one thing? So there's one person actually in the tree. It's sitting in the tree, and then the buffer zone, like just to try to get a visual of it. How many people are there? I imagine there's people circling the tree or surrounding the tree.
Yeah. They're in different positions within the zone, and depending, but there's always a person in the tree, and so when the helicopter goes by, he's at level to see the platform where the tree sit person is, and so that happened twice. We didn't have the helicopter the second time around, and so you'd see that you'd walk up and you'd see what you're doing if you want to come and stand with us in the safer area on the private land, because we're asking people to come out and stand in support with us that way.
How many people are out there? Is there a lot of people?
Well, at any different time, we could have upwards to 30 people. It changes daily. People come and go. The door is locked. You have to go around to the side. This is our casita, so it's an active zone too. But what you'll see is this incredible cottonwood tree, and then you'll see this beautiful landscape on the private landowners of a I think there's about 24 cottonwoods that are on their property, and there's just this meadow of flowers. Could you find out whose phone that is? It went off, and I hit the call. Oh, somebody called you. So I'm sorry. So you see this. And it would be something Monet would paint. Let me just put it like that. And then you look, and you see this grading, and they're altering the terrain. There used to be small hills leading west of us and east of us, and they grade down the road so they can fly down it. So it's heartbreaking, you know. When they took down the three grandmothers July 27th.
So there's three. The cottonwoods have already been taken down, right?
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They took them down. You know, I leave. You know, the one night I'm like, okay, I'll go home. I didn't even have to look at the messages. My phone was lit up, and I just dashed down. And I'm glad I kind of went a little faster than I probably should have. I got here, and I'm seeing John Kirk filming the destruction of they had already been destroyed. And I said to him, John, but look, the grandmother to the east is still standing. Oh no, they got everybody. He didn't realize that we had four, because the three of them were very close together, and then the fourth one is further out. And so the tree crusher is heading her way. I kid you not. And I look at John, I go, God, there he goes. So yes, so I'm running. I take the pictures of him. So what happened, what was very, very surreal, I don't think I've ever been closer to a machine like that, but I just did. And he crushed into her roots a couple times with the claw. And then he went around and did it on the other side. And it's really weird because the contractors were there. There were three of them in a huddle with their back to me. They never said, lady, get out of the easement. We're calling the sheriff. You're crazy. Don't you know this is a safety risk? Nothing. And so he kind of stops like about 25 feet from me, and they come over and they huddle. And then he comes back, and then he proceeds to push the dirt back that he's unearthed. Like if a dog is bearing a bone, it's exactly the same motion. And he did that on both sides, and then he proceeded to become like an earthwork person for the remainder of that segment, and then he chugged off, and I thought, whoa, what's that? So that's the reason she's not around now. She's around now. So I feel like that was a universal energy blast that this grandmother, you know, that's why I said she's the Statue of Liberty. She's a beacon of hope and resistance, and we're standing with her, and other people from all over the country are donating and sending us their keep up the fight, don't give up, power to the people, land defenders, you know, and it's giving everyone hope.
When did that happen 13 days ago? The what you just described when you ran up to the...
Actually, it was July 27th, because that's when Logan Miller was arrested. So when he was taken off scene, that's when it really happened. You know, they just went for it because they could. There were only a couple people here, and they did their valiant best. But some people don't want to risk what others can risk, and that's all good.
So they just came in with their the other three trees. They just came in like that with the excavator and just derooted the trees and.
Yeah, and I watched. It was about 8:30, 9 o'clock. He got arrested, and they finished off the first grandmother, who was, to me, the oldest, and then they moved on. And so by the time I get there at 11, you know, it only took them, you know, when you think about it, like 2 hours to destroy something that took 200 years to grow. Jeez, 2.5 hours maybe. It really hits you, and they're still here. They crushed up one completely. I don't know what happened with her, but there's two, and they look like beautiful whales that have died, but they're made out of wood. You know, they don't look like a whale, but you can kind of see that picture when you see those just heartbreaking images of when a whale gets beached.
I've seen a carcass of a whale that's been washed ashore. It's heartbreaking. You see this, and you can't look away and not feel that. And they still wear their prayer chains, the prayer ties that we put on them. That was an indigenous women youth-led ceremony on summer solstice. So they asked permission for the land for us to be there and do this cottonwood ceremony. And so I feel that we opened up this whole resistance
dimension in a beautiful way that the indigenous people say how you would do something, with prayer and ceremony. And then that guided me into drumming. I have a Yaqui friend, Charlie One Horse, and I said to him, I feel like I have to go out there and just drum. And because he had shared a powwow drum with me. And he said, yeah, it can just be you, Kate. You can just go out and do the heartbeat. And so that's what I did on June 23rd, and it led up to what happened July. But I had other people coming out that wanted to drum, sing, share their poetry, cry. I said, come out and be with them. We don't know what's going to happen. And I wanted people to see the kind of landscape, the kind of ecosystem that is nowhere else in Arizona, or I would hazard a guess on the border lands. So it's a rare jewel that we should just be like, oh God, we have this, and so then it just, so you can still see these incredible prayer ties around the tree. And one, we put lights around them just so we could have them glow at night. We wanted to and it was really fun to see that, all four of them lit up. And so one, they didn't kill that part of her. She still has her necklace of beauty around her. And so if you walk past her at night, she's looking at you and winking in the blinks, of the lights.
Glowing.
And I think it helps people too to have that energy. And then as we walk to our camp, we step over her route that extends into the private landowner. And we know her roots, all of their roots extend into Mexico. So it gives you
the private landowners in the United States. When you say private landowners, they're in the United States, but the trees you're referring to are right on the border. Is that correct?
Yes, they are in the reservation, Roosevelt Reservation on our side. So that strip. But
with roots going every which way.
Yeah, and so you have to step over the dead grandmother's root. So I feel like she's alive there, but she won't be in the form that she was. That was just July 27th. So just a scant 8 weeks ago. So it really, I think what it does to everyone that comes out here, for the most part, they feel really emboldened and struck by all this catastrophic damage that's needless. We have this beautiful, friendly community here. We've had happenings, as you know. You went to the first one we had before they had done anything in San Rafael Valley. We wanted to just say, "Yay, we love the valley. Let's celebrate our joyous resistance." We knew what was coming, and gosh, guess what, Todd? There's a double wall now happening in San Rafael Valley. So you can see the two double walls when you stand by the grandmother. You see the two double walls, and then you see her, and then you see now. They're taking down the wall, so it's kind of interesting. There's just the barbed wire fence. There's just going to be just the barbed wire fence. So I'm just thinking,
it's a double wall you see looking to the east. So you see that they've already constructed that, right?
Yeah,
and then
they've taken the primary wall, and now they've started the double wall heading east, because they haven't done anything where we are.
And then on the other side, on the west side too, you're in like a section that's where there's just the barbed wire fence and the trees.
Well, now they still have the old fence they're taking down, but once they take that down in the next few days, we'll have a barbed wire fence. And so I kind of think we might leave it that way, in my opinion, and not have any wall, no walls at all. All walls fall anyway. And leave Lochiel alone, and and have it be a true beacon of hope where it can be revitalized, and people can it can serve as a little hub of hope and resilience and resistance, because I feel that we're at a really, really cataclysmic moment, as you know, Todd, what's going on. And dare I say, it's beyond words. I ask people now, what would you say? I think we just have to refuse. We just have to say, you know what? Full stop. You got to talk to us, because guess what? You said this in a letter, and we know your past record sucks. Okay, let's just say it like it is.
You're talking about CDP, right?
Yeah, no one trusts you. You know, we write all these letters. We tell you what we don't think you should do because of our beautiful, all the beautiful habitats you're destroying. And it never means a hill of beans to these people. So we're saying, but we're not taking it that anymore. You really have to, the Tohono O'odham are saying, nope, you're not coming here. And we're saying, nope, you're not coming here. And I feel that if enough people say no and stand up, and yes, you have to decide what you want to do, because we're getting incredible support from other ways. You don't have to be on the ground here. I'm a point of the spear person. That's just how I like to roll. And I like to be able to help people do it safely and within our rights, and what we can say and what they can't tell us, and how we respond, because there's that whole back and forth, as you know, Todd. It's like you really have to know how you're going to plant your feet and speak to these people. And you look them right in the eye and be very strong and stand in your power. We all have power. We just have to decide how we want to share it in stopping these types of things, these types of things, the border wall.
Are you speaking now with, I know that you talked about Customs and Border Protection coming down with their helicopters, or and also the contractors driving really fast down the border road. But are you speaking with people right now? Is there any sort of dialogue that you have with either Department of Homeland Security, or I guess the contractors, though the contractors are a separate entity, right?
No, nobody's talked to us. I mean, the security guard has talked to us.
The security guard is for the contractors?
For the contractors.
Okay.
He's the one that comes up to you and says, vacate the easement. We've called the sheriff. Which is odd. The Border Patrol just drives by. They never say anything. And the first time when I was out here camping, I was camping in the easement, just my little tent, my drum, and they'd come up and say, hey, is it all good? You camping? And I'd say, all good. So that's the extent of the conversations I've had with the Border Patrol. So the contractor's security guard is the one that drives up and says, you can't walk in the easement. This is an active construction zone, blah, blah, blah. But we don't have to. We walk on private land. We were just immensely grateful to our benefactor for that. We're immensely grateful to the benefactor of this beautiful former Customs Border house. And so we are supported here. We're not in a zone where people are like, what are these people doing here? It's like, yay, will you watch my property line and make sure? Because they were doing something yesterday morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. They start about that, or sometimes 5:30, sometimes 5. And I hear the crusher, and I ran down to where there's these two beautiful old historic homes. You just want to fix them up so bad. It's not funny. If they were in the barrio, they would have been fixed up within an inch of their life. And they were going close to the property line, and they were crushing part of a mesquite tree that happened to go up in the middle of the fence line. And I said, you can't do that. This is private property line. And there's birds in this tree, and there were, Todd. I mean, they were freaking out. They were all fluttering around in the tree, and some of them were flying out. So he looks, the contractor on the ground says, I have the map. I have the GPS, and yes, we can do this. And I said, show me the map. Well, I have the GPS. Well, show me the map. This is a fence line. I've put up fencing on my own property. This is a fence line. Show me the map. And they stopped. They crunched. He finished his crunch he was in, and they stopped. And we're going to be showing the owner the tree. It was half of it, but still, if they'd continued, it would have just been this. There's no nuance. It's just destruction. And to think that they take down trees by crushing them. There's no arborist here going, let's see, we'll take this limb and take this limb. No, they use the crusher's jaw to grasp the tree branches and crush. So think about your finger. You're the tree. You crush that branch, crush that branch, and you're left. This is the tree. And so then he goes and he bangs on it. And it took him 15 minutes to knock over the oldest grandmother that I thought.
Were you witnessing? Were you witnessing that?
I was spared, Todd. I don't know what I would have done. I'll think about it forever. That I wasn't here when they killed the three grandmothers. I always will haunt me, because what would have happened, you don't know. But I think it's just one of those things you can't kind of go back. So you say, okay, bam. Okay, so what do we have? We have a grandmother. And
it reminds me of like the way that you're describing it. It makes it seem like it's almost a murder scene, or like a scene of I've been to like places where there's been massacres of people, I get that feeling with your descriptions. That's what this is.
Oh, it was horrific, because so John is filming it, and he's all wrapped up in that. And if you were to walk back and look at these two, there were two of them. Yeah, two excavators just picking up the crushed remains. And it was just so, and for, it just, and you think, and they're doing this because they want a secondary wall.
Yeah.
See, the whole point
can you describe what's going on with that, just for those people that don't know? So, what's the overall context of what's happening?
So when we we discovered that they were going to hit Lochiel in mid-June, Eric was on a routine. How we border activists.
That's Eric Mesa from the Sierra Club, right?
Sierra Club. Mm-hmm. We all routinely say, hey, let's take a spin out to the valley and see what's going on. And so Eric did, and he happened to say, hey, I'm going to go to Lochiel. And he sees the survey stakes, and he sees they're coming towards the river. And so they're about 3 miles away at that point. And then he gets intel on the ground that says, no, they're going to take down the trees next week. And we're like, what? That was June 15th through something. I don't know the exact date at the end. So Eric worked really hard. He did a letter, everybody responded, calls. We were all frantically responding. I did posts through our Madrean Wildlife Substack. Got just incredible response from people, and they issued a letter on June 19th saying, no, we're taking them out. They're our property. But again, that active thing. But then the next week, we set up a meeting with the contracting supervisor, and DHS, CBP did come out from Tucson, and they had a meeting in the middle of the road here on the blazing sun. I thought it was pretty stupid, but and he gave us a map and shows the two red lines. If I had a thought to share it with, so the international boundary line is the first wall, and the secondary wall is 57 feet away from that first wall, and that eliminates all the cottonwoods that are in that zone. A first wall, the primary wall, wouldn't have. So that was where we were advocating that, okay, just the one wall, and you can avoid the. Yeah, they would have been okay. Maybe a little trim here, but we could have, could have been on that, So, and he said, "Oh no, this is what's happening," and we were like, "Okay." So that's when.
What is the justification they have for the secondary, for the two walls?
Well,
do they have any sort of justification?
Well, that's what we ask each other, because I mean, why don't we just start on the third one, and the fourth one? And
Right.
I think it's an easy way to, I don't know if this is the truth or anything, but my imagination tells me, so they have these two walls, and people, do they just put the people in there? Do they build centers in there that they keep people in, they can push them out? Or like, is it another way to detain people and hold people?
Is there a lot is there a lot of space between the two walls? There's one wall, and then how many feet, and then the next wall?
Well, if they do it here, it'd be 57. But if you go west of us to Keno Springs, there's 150 feet. And that's a spot I would encourage everyone to go look at that, because you won't believe it. You will think you are in a movie, but it's real, and it's in our country, and we're doing it to ourselves. They're doing it to us. The invasion is our own government. And we all know that on the streets, right? What's happening with ICE. And so the people, the violence is in the streets, and the violence, as you've been covering for years, Todd, is in the border and in the environment. And that goes unseen a lot, because these are wild, remote places. At least for heavens, it's good, or thank heavens, the people on the street are there, and they're rapid response teams, and they can bam, bam, bam. So our rapid response is a 2-hour drive if you're not here in time. And then there are remote places, Todd, that I want to go, that I cannot imagine what they're doing out there. With the concertina wire, they've strung, and there's other reports coming in. I'm not at liberty to say, but it's horrific. So the ecocide is ongoing. It's been ongoing when we had the first wall with the first Trump administration. So, but with this secondary stuff, I think that's a bridge too far. That's a nope. And I mean, that's an oversimplification, childlike, but I wrote a little children's story last year because of the pain of it all, called Yoko Roars, where I was imagining how a little girl would feel if she heard the noise that we're experiencing. Let's say she hears it a few miles away, and she's like, hey, what's that? And she goes on a journey, and she discovers it, and she deals with it the way actually I did, because it's my story, and I can do that. But
you can do whatever you want.
I can do whatever I want. But I wanted to show that to people, that it's a wound that we're all going to carry the rest of our lives, and it's something that I feel that we have to say, what is going on with us? What is going on? We have to just say no. No walls at all. Okay? And all walls fall anyway, Todd, as you know. They eventually do. And so why destroy what took hundreds of years? Quito Springs, I mean, the intaglio, the geopetroglyph that they, you can just see the dude in the excavator just going, I don't give a, what, vroom, and he goes through this millennia old carving in the stone or in the dirt. I mean, it's like, it was in the dirt. I want to put it in stone, but I wish because then it might not have been damaged so much. And then with the Kumeyae sacred mountains, and so it's like, what? So, yeah. I know I'm going on and on, but
no, it's just like thinking of what you were saying earlier. It seems almost like there's a crossroads that we're in, and there on one hand there's all this stuff, the crushing excavators, the murder of grandmother trees, right? The just going like the ice in the streets, like you were mentioning, just to name those few examples. But there's also the contestation of it, like that there's not people just sitting there going, oh, this is great, just whatever. I mean, there's people out there like yourselves that are going out and standing in the way. And that's it seems, I don't know what you think, but it seems like we're in a place in the world, right, where decisions are being made of what way we're going in this world. And it seems like you and everyone out there, as one example, are deciding we're not going to go that way. We're going to go this way. Is that fair way to say it?
It's very fair. And I have been overwhelmed by the commitment and the passion and the camaraderie and everything. And here you're meeting people for the first time every day. You know, there's a few that you make friends and they come back. And it's really nice to say, Todd, that people that come out here want to come back. They're struck. It strikes them in the heart. And they say to me, Kate, I'm always thinking about her. I'm in Tucson, but I'm thinking about her. So I'm going to come out in a couple days. You know, they schedule their lives around this. I'm lucky. I'm an older woman. I don't have children and, you know, job to juggle. And my husband may see me once in a while. He's like, I don't know if I'll see you again. And my poor husband who's standing with me, I want to say shout out to my husband, Tony. He's writing a novel, but I mean, he's just dealing with so much, and he feels the weight of the world, and so.
Kate, can I ask you, like, what has moved you to do this? Like, what is it, like, that's inspiring you to do what you're doing right now, and do what you have been doing for years, I would say, but especially right now.
That's a good question, Todd. You always ask great questions. It's what I have to do. It's something that it's hard to put into words, but I think that the destruction has just reached an apex point with me that I can't take it anymore. You know, we've been doing this for years, and these grandmothers represented something so deep to me. I got so rooted with them all when I was out here alone a lot, you know, not a lot, but, you know, enough where it was me and the trees and a couple other people in the times. And they told me things, you know, I was in conversation with them and I got ideas, and they told me I had a conversation on June 24th with the grandmother I'm under, and she said, I am rooted. I am a living being. I want to have a right to live. I don't have the quote. I had it in our casita for people to read, because that's what came out. And so it moved me in a way because of that connection. We know trees talk to each other. The other trees are showing signs of sadness too. You know, they're yellowing, their leaves are falling a little bit. I mean, it's not fall yet here. So I am moved by the grandmother, and I want to support her, and I want others out there to support, to go to where we need you along the border to help us fight back against this, you know, and stand up and say no more walls, you know. I mean, this is too much to do to people. We are caging in our own selves, our own spirits. We talked about this at the happening when you said, yeah, we're walling ourselves in, our hearts. And so when you see this incredible living being and her canopy, I mean, she's really something to see in any light. A border helicopter going over, it doesn't matter. She's just like, this is me, so take me. You're going to take me? All right, do it. You know, well, I'm stronger than you. And I feel that she imbues everyone with a strength that we all have within us. And sometimes we think, can I really do this? And because we really, you know, we thought about it a little bit. Would we do a tree sit? Yes, of course, you're always thinking about that. But it was really like this. We looked at each other. We're doing this. It was just a unanimous, like, agreement of we're doing this.
Did you even have to talk Did you even have
No.
shock, or is it just like you just knew
No.
everyone was in agreement? Yeah.
Yeah, and it gives you. I mean, I get chills. You just, and so I want to tell y'all out there, this is what happens when you come together, and you stand tall in your power together, and it will ripple across the country, and we will bring down this crumbling, cadaverous grid that's, wreaking havoc. It's in its death throes. We know that. They're trying to do everything. They're going after everything. Well, they're not going to succeed. I believe that when people are doing what they're doing in the cities and in the rural areas and in the wild areas, it's, we can't let these people down that have been generously donating and saying, please, I wish I could be there. I want to be there. Please keep going. How could I do that? How could we do that? So it's something I didn't see myself. Some of these things happen, Todd, very like whoop.
Yeah.
And you just say, well, I can't go back and say, well, I'm a little tired and I really should go back and do this or that. So, because it haunts me when I'm not yet. And it really haunts a lot of us out here when we go back to our homes. So, and that's where I feel that the real thread, the real commitment that's felt, that's within your heart, which my friend told me, just the heartbeat. I'm hearing her heartbeat. And there's heartbeats all across the nation, all across the border. Big Bend, Quito Biquito Nation, all these areas, and we still have a lot in our state that, a double wall. It's just so.
So going forward, it seems like, from what I'm hearing, are you indefinitely committed to standing out with the grandmother Cottonwood? And is there just any plan going forward, except that you're going to be you're going to definitely protect the tree or the grandmother?
Yes. I feel that we're here until we get what we want. And we want conversation. We want thoughtful. The landowners would like to be involved in this, possibly too. I can't speak for them, but this secondary wall, nobody wants that. The primary wall, we're all like, well, but I kind of think that they're going to why should we build it at all? So we could just have this zone of like, well, let's test it out, CBP, and see how many people cross. Because we know they don't cross very much here, Todd. My friends that have the trail cameras, they can give you the statistics. I don't have to say it, and they'll share it. And so let's just see. CBP, you want to take it on? Do you want to, see what this invasion?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want us to have a chance to make this happen, and depending on what happens in the next 70 some odd days, we don't know. But I don't know. You just go, and you say okay, and then you go, and you say, and then people do break off and everything. But it can be sustained, I believe, because of the. I feel it in my heart. I can feel it every day that people come out here. So we have a community here, a binational community that's really amazing and really powerful, and we built it with these happenings and knowing our neighbors in Mexico, and so we'll be here, Todd.
Yeah, would you, if anybody listening or watching has any desire to go out and help, are they able to do that, or how
Yes. If you would like to, if you're not on Instagram, I know that's a drag, but Instagram, we have a rally period for the Valley, and you'll see all these, videos of the destruction, but also beautiful videos of people sharing their experiences at Lochiel as children, and what it was like growing up there and playing here as a child. So that will get you the up-to-date news, as I would say, and then we have a Give Butter link site if you want to donate. If you can't be there, you can see we're using, supplies, and food and gas and batteries, and it takes a lot to sustain this. And so we're using your money very, very, frugally.
Wisely.
Yeah. Frugally and wisely, and it's empowering us. I mean, it's, we're having this conversation on the internet. So we have internet, we're not out we're in a remote place, but it is not as remote as it could be. So yeah, so that's how you can help us the most. And yes, come out, be ground support. Just stand there with us. Because in numbers, right? There's the tree, there you are. And then there's however the people out that are up by the tree, but you can just be there and say, and we had a group of people that just showed up and left that did that very thing. So, and you'll see this beautiful area. I mean, it's beautiful. But
it is.
Yeah. And I know I'm just so grateful to you, Todd, for your friendship and your integrity and your talent, and what you and Melissa have created is, we need you.
Thank you, Kate. But it's you. Thank you for all that you're doing, and that all that you will do, and all you've done. And
thank you.
Do you have any last words that you might want to impart before we close our conversation for now?
Much time I have, but if I have 2 minutes, I'd love to share a poem that was written by Aurelia Neils Bugbee. She's 9 years old, and it's called Mother Earth's Scar. For all of time, animals have been moving, roaming from place to place, leaving hoofprints and whispers to find the sweetest grasses, coolest waters, and freshest meat. It is in our DNA to move. Our cells have knowledge. Ancestors taught us how to thrive in harsh worlds. We learned from these wise ancestors. Spring brings new growth. We spread out to find precious offerings, powering migrations north. Dry summer forces us to stay near water, the same springs and rivers our grandmothers drank from. Monsoons give the blessing of rain. Cacti swell with fruit. Autumn brings feasts, acorns, berries, piñons, fueling migration south. In winter, we find shelter and warmth, cozy together. The wall of hate slices our connection, stops us from seeing our families. It stops the mighty jaguar from protecting our homeland. It stops the dry deer from quenching her thirst. It stops graceful pronghorn from filling her empty belly. It stops brother bear from the home that will shelter him in winter. It stops families from reconnecting. But this wall of hate will not stop us from trying. Together, our love will bring down this wall. Ha!
Thank you.
Aurelia Neils Bugbee. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kate Scott. And we will be following everything going on. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Todd.
Because you've always taken such charge.
You are listening
to the Border Chronicle.